The Marino Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Marino Show. I'm your host, David Marino. I'm excited to welcome back Ron Sloan. You know him as Junior from Friday the 13th, Part 5, one of my favorite Fridays. He's also been in films like 13 Fanboy and one of his latest, Dylan's New Nightmare. Ron, thanks for coming back, as I mentioned, to my highly budgeted show. I'm so excited to have you.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Me and, of course, Emmy and her baby. Emmy's Cujo in training. So
you can make your own Cujo sequel at your house now.
She's Cujo Jr., let me tell you. Nothing's sacred. Everything's getting eaten. But, oh well. That's what puppies are for.
Yes. Well, it's great to see you again. How have you been doing? How's everything going in your world?
Oh, things are great. I mean, other than lacking sleep because of the puppy, things are really good. Dylan's New Nightmare is gangbusters. I mean, we've had 100,000 views in 5 days, and that's pretty amazing for top of the line fan film.
Is it a story?
Yeah, that's a story.
Please try to get some sleep.
Rex keeps him down there. The mean old man with the claws.
Dylan.
Sorry, Doc. What was that?
Dylan, what's really bothering you?
Had a nightmare last night.
Tell me about it.
2 people died this time.
What do you mean 2 people died? How?
One shot himself and the other slit her own throat.
Why do you think they did that?
I don't know. Why does anything happen in a dream?
Just want to be sure that these dreams you're having aren't symptomatic of a resurgence of your childhood trauma.
Well, they're not.
Are you getting your rest?
It's been manageable, Doc. I think I have it under control.
I saw, your part in it, and you did a great job. Really evil, which I love. A little different for you.
Wait, me? Come on. No.
Junior was funny. Like, he cracked me up. You were great in 13 Fanboy, the caring husband. But this is a little bit of a different role for you. So tell everybody out there about Dylan's New Nightmare and just sort of your part in it.
Well, as you know, Dylan, where to begin? I play Nick Matthews, a casting director. Miko Hughes, who's awesome. I mean, I got to tell you, Miko is a good guy and talented actor. For those of you who might not know Miko, he played Gage in Pet Sematary. He was in the New Nightmare on Elm Street, about 12 years ago, something like that. He in this movie, he is auditioning for me for a horror film. What a concept. And let's just say his audition goes a little south. I don't have any spoiler alerts, but there is blood involved. There is blood and a little brain matter, and I don't think it's mine.
Well,
remember, you always want to donate blood, but never in a horror film. Yeah.
No. And, you've sort of cemented your place in horror, the horror world. How was it, working on this film and just kind of adding another entry to your your resume of films that are in the horror genre?
Well, I was really lucky because actually I was approached on this by Vince DeSante, who's produced this film. Whoop, earthquake, no, who produced this film. Vince and I worked together on 13 Fanboy, and actually back in the day, a few years ago, he asked me to play this role. And I was like, well, of course, and you always want to help a friend out. And Cecil Laird is the director, and he's a good guy, good director, has a great eye. And it all came together. Ben Meredith, who was the cinematographer, sorry, the puppy's like going crazy. Ben Meredith, Ben Meredith was the cinematographer on 13 Fanboy, also is the cinematographer on Dylan's New Nightmare. So, I mean, it was old home week. It's family. And, when you have family, letting the family, there you go, baby. When you've worked with these folks before and there's a comfort zone, it's cool. And Dave McCrae, that's a name you guys are going to know, oh my God, for years to come. Dave played Freddy Krueger, and Dave is a Canadian actor. Good day, Dave, who is amazing. And Nora Hewitt, who did a lot of the special effects on 13 Fanboy. She also did the special effects on Dylan's New Nightmare. So you could Google Dylan's New Nightmare, go on YouTube. It's free on YouTube right now. And it's just, God, I was so lucky because this looks top of the mark. This is full, looks like a feature film and really should be a feature in the future.
For you yourself, were you ever a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, the original series that came out? Or did you really watch it?
Man, I'm a baby. Come on. No. Like a lot of people, I've watched the first one, or I watched the first Friday the 13th. It wasn't until I started doing conventions and meeting all these wonderful actors that I started watching the other films just to have the knowledge and just see what they do. And so, in the beginning, no, it was the first one. What's funny is I was in casting for many years. I was assistant. I don't want to say an assistant casting director. I was the videographer, the guy you would come into an audition for, and I'd run you through your paces, and then you get a call back and talk to the casting director. And Robert Englund used to audition for me all the time. I mean, I saw a lot of these cats. I mean, the people I worked with on Friday the 13th, John Robert Dixon, Mark Vittorini, all these guys auditioned for me, and we had relationships. So when you get on the set, you go, man, I know you. Well, yeah, I work over at Baker Nesbitt. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. It's cool.
So we're about to enter the spooky season of the year, which I know for you and many actors in the horror genre, it can be a busy time with the conventions. I know that you're going to be doing an upcoming one on October 13th for Friday the 13th, Part 5, right? In memory of Carol Locatell. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, now this is an interesting event coming up. It's called the Waldorf Estate of Fear. It's a haunted house, apparently, that goes on every year, going through corn mazes and everything you do, people scare you. I think the haunted house itself starts at 7 o'clock at night. It's in Lehighton, Pennsylvania, near Allentown. So it's 13th and 14th. Myself, Deborah Sue Voorhees, Shavar Ross, who I have not seen probably in 20 years, close to it.
I grew up watching Shavar on Different Strokes. I loved watch that as a kid. I used to watch that show all the time.
Well, I actually worked that show. I started out as a page on that show, and I ended up with a couple of parts. Different Strokes and Facts of Life. Also, Melanie Kinnaman's going to be there, and Roy, the Jason, Roy, Dick Wien. You know, some people, I was reading something today on Facebook. Oh, some people just can't get over a copycat Jason. Get over it.
Okay.
God, enjoy the movie.
I told you it's one of my favorites, and I found the soundtrack, as I showed you a little earlier before.
Cool.
On vinyl. I always laugh. It was kind of the same, with Halloween 3. Remember how that one kind of went off script and Michael Myers was in it, and some people just cannot, they hate it. And I'm like, look, they tried something different. I thought it was great. It's a great film. I thought part 5 was a great film. I think people I'm the fan that I like different. I like when they do something a little different. It throws a curveball. Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I'm very fortunate. This is going to be an interesting, because I wouldn't say it's a convention, because, we're just the family that's going to be there, the Friday the 13th family. And it's supposed to be pretty crazy with photo ops and meet and greets and all that stuff, but also the haunted house. I mean, I'm going to do that. I think that's going to be excellent. And fall colors, I just think what a way to start off the season. And I'm hoping to see some of the great fans out there to come to this. This will be fun.
And it's on a Friday the 13th in October lands it's Friday. So
what more can you ask for?
I know that's going to be really cool. And, did you think I know this film was I don't know when Friday 5 was shot. It came out in 85.
Right.
Was it shot in 84, 85 or?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, it was October, November.
Okay.
Like that when I worked, because I remember it was cold. I remember it was cold. We were in Camarillo, California on a farm. And I know you could see your breath, So
I always laugh when I see some of the films from the 80s that I don't know if you've ever watched the sleepaway camp films, but part 2 and 3, they're in the woods and it's the summer, but you can see their breath because they shot it in the cold. But I was gonna say the reason I said that is because it's really 38 years since the original, since part 5 came out. Did you ever imagine that this many years later that you would still be seeing those cast members and attending these different conventions? Is it kind of wild to you?
No, it's crazy. It's a blessing, actually. I mean, if you think about it, I'm really fortunate that this role led me to all these other roles and all sorts of things in the conventions and fans. And it's a trip, man. Going to a convention and seeing somebody stand in line wearing a junior flight cap and a junior sweatshirt, and they're about 6'8", 300 pounds. That's junior, man.
I remember that from last time, and I actually shared the picture because I found it on your page. That's really cool. That would blow me away.
That's an honor. Come on.
That would blow me away.
I've had people have me sign flight caps. I've signed crazy stuff. A canoe last time. Guitars, blades. It's it's fun. I have fun. When I do these things, if you're coming to it, you're gonna have fun because I have a blast. And I bring my little head. Oh, there it is. Other side.
Yeah. I pointed that out last time. It's actually the original one, right?
Yep.
That's really
cool. Is. So yeah, this will be really a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. No plans yet for next year. If there's a convention out there that wants part 5 people or myself, yeah, I'm open. Nothing on the books for next year except for hopefully a movie. So
I was gonna ask, and I know that y'all sometimes have to sign NDAs and can't really talk about stuff, but do you have some prospects or some films that may be coming in the future?
Well, there's always a prospect. I was sent a couple scripts this week. One of them I like a lot. But like anything else, it could take a year, it could take 5 years. They don't have funding yet. I don't know, it might go Indiegogo, but it's a kind of a bigger budget film, but written real well. And I hope it goes because I really like the role. And it would definitely add to my reel in many different ways. So,
I think I may have asked you this last time, but what kind of role that you haven't played yet would you like to play? We know you can do horror, comedy. Is there something that you've been kind of to do?
Actually, sort of, kind of. My wife and her sister would love to see me on Hallmark.
Hallmark is like
end of the scale.
I'm gonna tell you, guilty pleasure. Like around the holidays, I'll land on Hallmark and I'll just sit there and watch because it's such like a perfect world in those films, and you can just escape, and it's all happy. It has a happy ending, which is kind of crazy because I will not kidding. I literally have switched back and forth between the ID channel and Hallmark. Totally opposite. It's like
I would love that. I would love to be in a Hallmark type show, The Loving Grandfather or whatever the scenario is. That would be cool.
You need to be in one of their Christmas movies because that's the big time for Hallmark.
Big time. That would be awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's a number of directors out there I would love to work with, of course, and it's just getting out there, and it all kind of falls into place. And I'm just going full circle, like with Dylan's New Nightmare. I am just hearing a lot of good stuff from people. I'm so happy. It's the first fan film I've ever done, but I knew there was quality behind it. I mean, knowing the cinematographer and producer and the grade of talent that was high, I knew I was stepping into a home run. So,
and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think sometimes, like with the fan films, because there's been several others I've seen that have been done very well. When you have someone that has that much love and respect for a franchise, I think that's a great thing because you know that they're really going to put a lot of effort and care into, preserving that and really wanting to make it their own, but respecting the film and the franchise and the character.
Absolutely. And you hit a good point. This was made out of love. It was also made out of knowledge. I mean, they knew Nightmare on Elm Street backwards and forwards. I mean, I learned so much on the set. Okay, maybe it's my age. I didn't know about Easter eggs. I did not know about Easter eggs. So, okay, I'll give you one Easter egg. Only one.
Okay.
I'm wearing a strap that holds my glasses on, my reading glasses. So I'm wearing a strap. It's red and green stripes, the strap.
I didn't even notice that.
Now
I'm going to go back and watch that and look. Yes.
See? So, because we were talking about Easter eggs, and I had to confess to them, I'm sorry, I don't know what an Easter egg is.
Did you for a second think, wait a minute?
Yeah, Wait, on holiday. I don't know. So it was cool. So I know some of the Easter eggs in Dylan's New Nightmare. It's pretty cool. And, it's neat to pick out things that are red and green. That's a hint, red and green.
When you're sitting there at a convention table and you have all these people lined up, is it just surreal to, you mentioned earlier seeing people dress like you and all of that. And I'm sure they're like really, really excited to meet you.
Well, and I'm excited to meet them. I mean, it's like, first of all, what's nice about at least most of the conventions I do have time to talk to people. I'm not I wish I was that actor that had 3,000 people waiting in line for him. But I'm not. I have quality time with everybody that comes, and we have our chance to talk and take pictures, and it's really a nice situation. So I look forward to it. It's interesting because I've heard some pretty wild stories how people were introduced to Friday the 13th Part 5. I mean, I think the funniest one, and this is true, I mean, whether the guy's BSing me or not, I don't know, but he walked in on his parents having sex, but they were watching Friday the 13th Part 5 in bed. And as he walked in, I'm on the street going, "They hurt me, Mom."
That's like, what a traumatic.
You can't make that up. That had to have happened.
That's a traumatic experience for a kid, but there you are.
That poor guy, every time he watches Friday the 13th Part 5, he has to see his parents having sex. Oh my God.
My God.
That is a horror film.
That gives a whole new meaning to horror. That is hilarious. I absolutely
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
I don't know if anybody's told you, and I talked to Melanie a while back she was one of my first interviews of people in horror films that came on the show that I reached out to, which she was great. I talked to her a little about how people who love horror, like myself and other fans, I feel like sometimes it was because, like, for me, there was a connection, and it's weird, but I always felt sort of different, kind of like an outcast, or, if you're like in the LGBTQ plus community, I always kind of identified with the final girl, like surviving, and maybe, at the time I didn't realize it, but I think psychologically it was sort of like feeling like you're kind of surviving a lot of crap in your life, at a young age.
Sure.
Have you had anybody kind of talk to you about that or approach you, how these films, while critics and people who kind of like just write them off, I always have felt like there's so much more to the Friday the 13th films, Part 5, all of these franchises that mean so much to fans for different reasons, but especially connecting in a way that was a deeper meaning than people give the films credit for, I think.
Well, that's a tough one there.
Have you ever thought about that, or do you ever have people kind of?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I've met, and I do want to be politically correct on this, some special needs people.
Yes.
I've worked and met a few who I felt honored that it was pretty cool. And it's interesting because this genre really encompasses a world of folks. It's not that you're necessarily into horror and killing and death.
Right.
You're into something that makes you think and scares you, and you have fun. I mean, yes, I'll even watch a horror film every now and then, just because like something, like the last one I watched wasn't too long ago. Megan.
Oh my God, I love Megan so much.
Well, I knew my agent, Sean Clark, was Megan's agent, So I go, well, I got to watch this. And I liked it. I thought it was really good, So, but I'm a sci-fi person. The movie The Thing, the original. Well, I shouldn't say the original. The second one with Kurt Russell. Mm-hmm. Awesome film. Aliens. That scared the crap out of me. I was at the director's screening of that. And, there you can't have popcorn. You're sitting in these big comfy chairs at the Directors Guild. But there's no popcorn, no drinks. You're sitting watching this movie, and you have to watch every single credit. So it was like, geez. And that was scary, man. When that monster popped out of John Hurt's chest, yeah.
So you yourself, I know that outside of acting, you have like your other job. You work in art, right? Art
Yeah,
gallery.
I've been a director of an art gallery. The one I'm currently at for 7 years, but I've been selling fine art and being a director off and on for 25 years. I sold Picasso's, Dali's, Rembrandt's, Chagall, Miro. I tour with Sir Anthony Hopkins. He does road shows usually in Las Vegas, and I am very fortunate to be a part of that.
How did you get into that world? Because I think it's pretty cool that you're able to sort of have, your career in art, but then you can step outside of that, do these movies when they come up, and then, you have, two different things that you can do. But how did you get into the art world and become a director, going from kind of working in the film industry to that?
Well, the first job I had was on Maui. It was for an upcountry artist. His name was Curtis Cost, amazing artist, brilliant. And hired me because since I had ability as an actor to talk to people, and I had a real estate license, so sales really wasn't a problem, I got the gig. And that kind of led, we'll call myself a gallery hopper, because I went from that gallery to another gallery to another gallery to another gallery till I was selling masterworks, selling art. I get to discover new artists, and I have a great time. I really do.
I wanted to bring this up. We don't have to focus on it too much because, but Carol, the passing of Carol, and I know that you're very close to her. But for the fans, what is something, you're fine, you're totally fine. What is something that kind of stands out about Carol for you from, working with her, just something about her that you'll always kind of keep with you? Because I didn't get to meet her and never got to interview her. I wanted to. She just seemed like such a lovely person, and she left such a legacy with her, with Ethel. Like, it's just so good the way she executed that role.
Well, first of all, I'm really fortunate to have worked with Carol. So, that relationship started with Friday the 13th, Part 5. And we became dear, dear friends ever since that first moment. She touched my heart heavily. And I don't know, she made the convention so much fun. She brought to life so many laughs to so many people, and my life is better because of her.